On the news, ECOWAS calls for investment in agriculture to address post-COVID food scarcity. Service chiefs meet leadership of the House of Reps in Abuja. And Nigeria records highest inflation rate in 30 months. A warm welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Onye Adekunle. The leadership of the House of Representatives today held a closed-door meeting with heads of the country's security agencies. The meeting was presided over by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Ahmed Wasi. In attendance at the meeting were top officers of the Defense Headquarters, Nigeria Police Force, Nigerian Immigration Service, Nigerian Correctional Service, amongst others. Although the agenda of the meeting was not publicly disclosed, it is believed that it may be due to the security challenges that accompanied the #EndSARS protest and the recent wave of violence in some parts of the country over the last weekend. And the Speaker of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS Parliament, Sidi Tunis, has warned of an impending doom on the sub-region if the waves of crisis within member states are not promptly addressed. Tunis issued this warning in the wake of the political crisis in Guinea-Bissau over the past couple of months and the #EndSARS protests in Nigeria. Speaking at a delocalized meeting in Bissau, organized by the Joint Committee on Agriculture, Environment and Natural Resources of the ECOWAS Parliament, with the theme Agricultural Production and Food Security in the ECOWAS region under COVID-19 pandemic, ECOWAS called for dialogue to settle all political and economic differences in the affected countries.
The ECOWAS Parliament stands prepared to follow up on the recommendations emanating from these discussions. In addition, the Parliament pledges to support the ECOWAS Commission and other institutions in ways that guarantee essential.
All keen observers of unfolding developments in this country are aware of all that have happened in the last couple of years. I wish to seize this opportunity to call on all stakeholders and political players to embrace an environment that is conducive to the successful continuation of a democratic state, a transparent judicial system, and one that guarantees economic prosperity for its citizens. Political differences are unique in every democracy, but a frank and inclusive dialogue is the best recourse towards a steady democratic environment. I therefore call on all parties to work with the government in the interest of peace and stability, as well as the prosperity of the people of this great country. Africa is our continent, ECOWAS our region. We are one people separated by invisible borders. Let us continue to demonstrate that invisible love that unites our states under the banner of ECOWAS and strive for the good of our people.
In the face of the devastating impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on the West African sub-region, the ECOWAS Parliament has also identified investment in agricultural production, food security and healthcare as a means to cushioning the situation. Speaker of the Parliament, Sidi Tunis, expressed this belief during his closing remarks at the delocalized meeting of the ECOWAS Parliament on agricultural production, food security and the fight against COVID-19 in Guinea-Bissau. The Speaker said the pandemic has compounded the crisis in the sub-region as the border closures, lockdowns and curfews intended to slow the spread of the disease have disrupted food supply chains.
The ECOWAS Parliament stands prepared to follow up on the recommendations emanating from these discussions. In addition, the Parliament pledges to support the ECOWAS Commission and other institutions in ways that guarantee essential healthcare services, facilitate cross-border activities, as well as allocation of resources to fund efforts that are geared towards food security and agricultural development across the region. I wish to appeal that we all stay committed and work for the prospect that one day our region will be healthy and attain total food security. I also hope that we will work actively to ensure that the outcome document from this meeting, which emphasizes essential healthcare services and food security as key areas of accelerated action, will be implemented to the latter. I can assure you that I am committed to paying additional attention on healthcare during my tenure as Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament. I pledge to rally an unprecedented political commitment for investment in healthcare aimed at changing the lives of millions of our people. It's time to make it happen, and we can. I believe it will happen.
The Health and Social Protection Program of the Developing 8 D8 Organization for Economic Cooperation has resolved to help boost bilateral trade relations among countries in the D8 group. Ado Mohammed, the Global Director, D8 Health and Social Protection Program, made this resolution during the official opening of the Health and Social Protection Program office in Abuja. Mohammed said one of the main targets of the D8 countries is to address the low intra-regional trade volume and overdependence on industrialized economies, but that has been far from achieved. On his part, the Nigerian Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Zubairu Dada, called on all member countries to strengthen the objectives of the D8 in Nigeria.
I wish to solicit the political will of member states towards the realization of this initiative through prompt funding and technical cooperation. The long-term willingness of our respective governments to support the office will play a pivotal role in strengthening the primary healthcare system the countries covered by the D8 office commissioned today. It is my hope that we will continue to share experiences and transfer knowledge in a bid to have a healthy population that will not only promote economic development but also reduce poverty.
At the High Commissioner of Bangladesh, which is going to host next D8 summit, hopefully next year, because due to surge of COVID, it could not be held last year. I hope that all heads of government, heads of the D8 member countries will join the next summit.
The 8 countries has a combined economy of $4.5 trillion, 1.1 billion people. But the trade between the member countries just translates to about $100 billion, which is grossly inadequate. So we want to ensure that we boost that trade within member countries to the tune of about 10% annually for the next 5 years, so that we can be able to get a huge chunk from the $4.5 trillion economy to boost the economy and then create jobs and then create employment within member states. And then also be able to boost the economy of our member states.
There are indications that the federal government might bow to pressure and adopt any payment platform developed in universities as an alternative to the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System, EPIS. The spokesman for the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Charles Ackman, gave this indication but said there will be conditions for adopting any payment platform apart from the EPIS. According to Ackman, the platform must be capable of eliminating ghost workers syndrome and other forms of corruption in payment of salaries. The strike action embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, on March 23rd has been sustained due to the federal government's insistence on the use of EPIS, amongst other things. ASU's preferred university transparency and accountability solution, UTAS, is currently being tested by the National Information Technology Development Agency, while Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities have proposed the University General and Peculiar Personnel and Payroll System. The Are Ona Kakanfo of Yoruba Land, Gani Adams, has called on the federal government to accede to the calls of Nigerians on restructuring of the country along the region in order to capture all the agitations of the 6 geopolitical zones. Gani Adams explained that most of the tensions across the country is as a result of frustration and anger in the land, and advised restructuring tailored along regionalism while while bringing about a new era of economic, political, social and cultural development. Adams, who made the call over the weekend in Lagos, advised the youth to be patient with the government, stating that the country is already at a state of comatose and any escalation will not be in the interest of both Nigerian people and the government.
We are calling for restructuring, that Nigeria should be restructured to regionalism. If it is too late to restructure, we'll be agitating for self-determination through referendum. We believe that this country cannot move forward without restructuring. You can see yesterday or 2 days ago, the president had additional 10 naira to the fuel hike. The pain is becoming too much. Our economy is in the stage of comatose. Nigeria is suffering, and the testimony of the suffering is the aftermath of what happened in Lekki. People are hungry, they are hungry, and they are hungry. When you did not build a very good institution, when you create unemployment, when you don't educate your youth, you are breeding criminals.
ActionAid Nigeria has lamented that rape cases in the country have increased by 149%. This increase in cases was attributed to the lockdowns as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. A statement issued over the weekend by the Board of Trustees of ActionAid Nigeria after a virtual meeting to review the state of the nation said since the COVID-19 lockdown, a wave of rape and other forms of sexual gender-based violence has increased. Reported cases of gender-based violence has substantially risen, with a monthly increase of 149% in 23 out of the 36 states in Nigeria. But let's now talk more on this social problem, as we are being joined on news now by Nkechi Ilochi-Omekedo, who is the manager, Women's Rights Program of ActionAid Nigeria. Nkechi, thank you very much for joining us on the news. Now, how serious is this issue of rape in Nigeria? And with these recent figures you have just recorded, should we be worried about the situation in the country at this time? All right, we apologize for that glitch there. We'll try to reconnect with Nkechi again and get her back before the end of the news. But let's take a break here. But still to come, another COVID-19 vaccine shows 95% efficacy. Details after this break. Thanks for joining us on News Now at this time. Thank you for joining us today. As expected, Nigerians will have different opinions on environment. Did I not tell Mr. Mike that I was removing the police state? The banks took over the news on the story was just mistakes. Glad to have you back. Now, here is a quick reminder of some of our top stories tonight. The leadership of the House of Representatives today held a closed-door meeting with heads of the country's security agencies. The meeting was presided over by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps, Ahmed Wasi. Details of the meeting are yet to be made known, but it is believed that the latest security situation in the country prompted the emergency meeting. We also told you that the federal government, in a bid to reach an agreement with the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, is ready to shelve the EPIS payment system for the lecturers. The government is now considering accepting the University Transparency and Accountability Solution UTAS presented by the university lecturers, but the government said it will only accept it if it guarantees transparency and accountability. Let's now turn our attention to the COVID-19 pandemic. The total number of coronavirus infections in Nigeria has risen to 65,148 after 152 new cases were reported from 8 states across the Federation on Sunday. The rise in cases comes amid concerns over the imminence of a second wave following the flagrant disregard of safety protocols in the country. On a positive note, no new death was recorded in the last 24 hours, leaving the death toll at 1,125. Of the over 65,000 total, about 61,073 persons have been discharged from hospitals after treatment, while about 4,000 active cases remain in the country. And it's good news from the United States, where biotech company Moderna has revealed impressive results from phase 3 trials of its COVID-19 vaccine. Early data released on Monday and based on 95 patients with confirmed COVID-19 infections found the candidate vaccine has an efficacy of 94.5%. The result follows similar results from Pfizer's vaccine, which showed 90% efficacy on patients. Moderna says it plans to apply for approval to use the vaccine in the next few weeks. The vaccine is, however, not expected to be available outside the United States until next year. Well, we'll take a break here, and when we return, it will be time for business news. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now we're being rejoined on the news by Nkechi Ilochi-Omekedo, the manager, Women's Rights Program, ActionAid Nigeria, who will be discussing or will be talking to us on the story we brought to you earlier about increased rape cases in Nigeria. Nkechi, thank you very much for joining us on News Now. Now, how serious is this issue of rape in Nigeria, considering the new figures that your organization has just released?
It is a serious issue, very serious, because this is an anomaly. And then if something is really wrong, rape is not a good situation. So if we get something that is wrong, we need to respond to it. So we are in a very serious situation where women and girls are raped, children are also being raped, elderly women are not spared. So it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, we are not spared. So this is a serious issue, and the country should be worried. If you're having figures that are increasing by the day, in 3 months, we had a record of over 380 cases of rape cases across the different project states where we work. So that tells you that we really do have a problem on our hands, and we need to get worried about it.
And then you part of what you gave as the reason for this increase in cases was the COVID-19 lockdown, or the lockdowns that were imposed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Please explain how this came about.
Okay, so lockdown of COVID-19 really brought to the fore the situation that we have in our hands. So when in a situation where families are locked up, everyone is locked up in the house, you have women who are in abusive relationship, the situation wasn't it. You have women who have lost their job, or husbands who have lost their job, the tension, the anger at the home level, the COVID-19 brought it to the fore as well. So these are the situations that we had in our hands. Not to say that COVID pandemic or the lockdown itself is the main factor, because we know that rape has been in existence, and rape has been used as a tool of war on women's bodies. So what the COVID-19 and the lockdown did was to bring out the issues even much more to the front.
All right, sorry to cut you here, Nkechi. Speaking about solutions now, how can we ensure that we stamp this out completely?
Okay, so in terms of stamping out rape and sexual violence, starting point will be the attitudinal change, where we begin to see women as equal partner in every relationship, where we do not treat women bodies as tools, as properties, as chattels that can be used and dumped, where we do not see women's bodies as as something that can be controlled and owned by men. So in this situation, when everybody begins to recognize the autonomy and the agency of women, then issues of rape and sexual violence will be reduced. So in all essence, everyone mindset, both the men and women, should begin to reorientate themselves on issues of women's rights. So that's also one of the ways to curb this. The other point about solution is about...
I'm a bit afraid. I'm sorry, Nkechi, but I have to cut you here because we're pressed for time.
All right.
Thank you very much, Nkechi.
Thank you for having me.
The manager, Women's Rights Program of ActionAid Nigeria. Thank you for your time. All right, we head straight now to business news, and Mary Uloma is standing by. Welcome back. Let's now join Mary for the latest developments in business. Over to you now, Mary.
Thank you, Oyi. Nigeria's inflation rate rose by 14.23% year-on-year in October, as against 13.71% recorded in September 2020. Now, this was contained in the Consumer Price Index report recently released by the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. And according to the report, the October figures indicate a persistent increase in 14 months and the highest recorded since March 2018. The Composite Food Index also rose by 17.38% in October 2020, compared to 16.66% recorded in September 2020. And the rise in inflation indicates a decrease in the purchasing power of consumers caused by increases in the price of major food items across the country. And all through October, extending into November, Nigerians experienced a sharp increase in prices of food items, which some say is due to the high cost of petrol and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, our correspondent Folashade Ogurunde has more.
Food has always been the core of human existence, and for countries like Nigeria with arable farmlands, it is expected that cheap and affordable farm produce would be in abundance. This, unfortunately, is not the case. According to the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, the hike in food prices and other individual consumption across the country further increased the rate of inflation in Nigeria to 14.23% in October 2020, thus creating an annual inflation rate that climbed for a 13th straight month.
Before COVID-19, the price of the smallest bulb of onion used to sell for 10 naira, but now it sells for 15 naira. A plate of this onion used to sell for 200 naira, but now sells for 1,000 naira. Now, this is 400% increase from its normal price. Now, traders even tell me that they can no longer stock on these onions because of the skyrocketing price, and no one knows when these prices would fall.
The price of onion is not the only farm produce that has witnessed a sharp increase. Vegetables, tomatoes, palm oil, rice, maize, yams, as well as eggs also saw an increase in price.
Previously, we are selling it at the rate of 800, 900, 1,000. That's the highest. As of today, the least is 1,100.
Now they sell at 2,000 for the tree. But before, you no go past 1,000. And the big one, this one, now they sell at biggest one, 115. Instead, before, you no go past 900 or 1,000. So everything don't change through.
Lisa, who regularly buys her food items in this local market, has spent some time trying to squeeze out a good bargain from the meat seller. She says the price far exceeds her budget.
Things have really increased. Now I just bought goat meat. The labs, normally before it was 2,500, 2,000, but now it's 4,000 naira for just one lab. Not even the big one, just medium size. Even the tomatoes, you won't even go there. Not talk of the onions now. Onions is like diamond, you understand? So things are really expensive. The prices are high.
Just like Lisa, Anita also had a hard time purchasing meat. For her, the solution would be to find cheaper alternative forms of protein to supplement her diet.
Things are quite expensive and it's crazy. The onion we used to buy at 1,500 is now 10,000 naira. and every other thing has gone up because of the cost of petrol. Is inflicting its pains on us, the common men. But what do? We just have to find a way around it and try to buy whatever we can afford. Let me give an example, a scenario. Imagine I had budgeted 3,000 naira worth of a particular quantity. I had to settle for 1,000 naira worth of it and think of an alternative to that, or what I can buy to replace that, just to add a bit of taste to what I'm cooking. So you just have to opportunity cost and check, okay, what are the alternatives to it, the cheaper alternatives that you can replace it with.
Although government has set up several agricultural initiatives and policies to boost Nigeria's food production, bottlenecks such as insecurity, lack of adequate storage and funding has continued to fall short any visible progress, thus leading to a skyrocketing of food items in the local markets. Folashade Ogurinde reporting for TV360 Lagos.
We'll take a pause here and be back with stock market review. And proceedings on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange kicked off the new trading week on a low, despite continued foresight of market appreciation of the Nigerian stocks by analysts. Now, the stock market launched the new week in a bearish note, recording a decrease or a decline of 0.75%. That is 34,774 basis points. Market capitalization also closed for the day, recording 18 trillion naira. And at the end of today's trade, there was a massive loss recorded among equities, as 43 equities were in the red today, with only 11 equities recording gains. Now, today's market loss can be accredited to sell-offs as investors continue to trade off shares and buying activities become subdued. Also, equities are becoming less attractive. Analysts also claim that the bullish run witnessed last week, when markets surpassed the all-share index benchmark, could result in a negative turn of events, which is currently being witnessed in the Nigerian stock market. While although there was a huge loss recorded, today's market saw gainers. Now, last week, two equities, Airtel Africa and BUA Cement, rounded off last week as the top two gainers, and they also started off this week as the top two gainers, with Airtel Africa recording selling off at 500 naira. BUA Cement also sold off at 56 naira. AR Dover also had a 2 naira gain, and BOC Gas Limited also had 1 naira gain. Now, today's top losers. For today, Nigeria Breweries topped the list of today's losers with a 5 naira loss and was closely followed by Dangote Sugar. We also have Lafarge and Flour Mill also. Now, a summary of today's market trading saw 668 million shares valued at 7.849 billion naira exchange hands in 10,319 deals. Now, over to the foreign scene. Now, in the foreign markets, it's a good day for the United States because some of the biotech company that has revealed that they have the COVID-19 vaccine, Moderna. The company's name is Moderna, and they revealed they have the COVID-19 vaccine, and it's in its phase 3 trials, and it is also about 94% active. Now, this can be said to be the reason behind the 1.77% gain recorded by FTSE. Also, for today, Asian stocks Nikkei also hit a record high as the vaccine optimism and strong economic data from China and Japan outshone worries about rising coronavirus cases, lifting just every sector in Asia and recording 2.05% gain. Now, Dow Jones also had a positive outlook as it recorded 1.50 gain. And that's all on Stock Market Review. We'll take a break now and be back with Owen for the rest of the news.
Well, that's it on News Now at this time. We thank you very much for watching. I am Onyi Adekunle. Bye for now.